starting from the beginning, when I was acting as secretary, I can remember running off the bulletin and a short newsletter on ditto machine and then the Gestetner before we got these wonderful copy machines that we have now. And also I was visitation. I felt like, I think I was the only one on visitation right at the beginning, and they would get these long lists of new residents in the area from the power and light company and the telephone company, and I sat and called all those people for quite a while. Then later we had visitation teams that went out and visited personally, but right at the very first, it was a growing area and not a lot of homes, and it was sort of easy to pick up the new residents and contact them. I started in the worship service in the basement of the parsonage, and then sort of got involved in the visitation and working as secretary for quite a while. Then we moved over to the school, the West Street School, and quite a large group growing then, and they established a choir, invited Tom to sing in the choir, and became quite active then.
Of course, we sang in the choir for many, many years, and one of my co-workers at work was also a member of the church and a close friend, and I, at one time, in announcing the hymn, I referred to it as "Amazing Grace, how great thou art." And this person, of course, was Tom Gunther, and we used to ride to work together also. But he never let me forget that. Although, sometime later, he happened to be the liturgist, and he was reading a scripture from the Bible and referred to it as the King Arthur version. So I've never let him forget that also.
Okay, Terrace Lake United Methodist Church has been such an important part of my faith journey. And in the 60s, when I was in elementary school, Betty Clements was my Sunday school teacher, and I have remembered a way she started Sunday school every Sunday with this quote: "May the thoughts of my heart and the words of my mouth be acceptable unto you, O Lord." And it's something I've remembered and thought of and tried to practice myself. And I also remember Jerry Murray as our high school Sunday school teacher, and his faithfulness to come and listen to what we had to say and share his faith, and how important that was to me. And he and his wife Judy were also our MYF youth directors, as well as Jewel and Betty C. And the C's started a Saturday night Teen Town kind of thing, so we even had two weekend activities for the teenagers of the church, and those families and Betty Clements and have just been so important to the way my life has turned out, and I appreciate those faithful servants who were in children's ministries at the church and youth ministries.
My name is Betty Clements, and I've been a member of this church for nearly 48 years. And my husband and I left the church for a little while and went back over to our church in Raytown due to strange circumstances. Nothing wrong with this church, but anyway, something wrong with my husband. So we were gone for a couple of years, and the first Sunday that we came back out here, I was greeted like I'd been gone for a week. Well, hi Betty, how are you? And I never had had such a feeling of I'm home, and I've been home ever since. And as a member of the United Methodist Swimming Group, I'd like to tell all the girls in the church they don't know what they're missing. We have a lovely group. It's a small group. We're down to 4 people who meet regularly, but we do great things with our resources, our limited resources. We made $200 with the church's help on donations for Hope House with the barbecue. And, you know, you can always find time to do something if you really want to. And Olivia greeted me one day when she was a little bit of a girl. I was out working on the tables, and she said, "Are you always here?" And I looked at her and I said, "What do you mean?" And she said, "Are you always working in the kitchen?" I said, "Yes, I guess I am." So come join me in the kitchen if nothing else. Thanks a lot.
There you go. Thank you, Betty. Anything else, or?
No, and I talked enough.
Okay.
Haven't I talked enough, Dave?
No, that's great. That's awesome. That's the church. Thank you.
I get to know John, so we get married here, so I started going to this church.
Excellent. And how did you come about coming to this church, Jonathan?
Our family moved here back in '75. So,
Okay.
yeah, started here as a
Okay.
elementary school.
Excellent. Fleur and Lee, how did you come about coming to Terrace Lake for the first time?
Well, as Jonathan said, that we moved here in 1975 from 63rd and Agnes, and we used to be a member of Slope Park United Methodist Church, and we found this church is closest to us, so we come to this church from that time on up to now.
Okay.
Well, I was, during the MYF, I was one of the designers for the mural in the children's nursery. And then I'm also going to go on record that I was the original Easter pig.
I'm trying not to laugh because I don't want to laugh. The original Easter pig.
The original Easter pig.
Okay.
So if you ever see pictures on, on the one inside.
That's it.
Who's the one, new one now?
That I don't know. I don't know who the new one is. So.
But
Okay. Fleur, Lee, do you have any story or anything that you'd like to share, Joy? Or?
Oh, I belong to the choir at Swamp Park.
now,
Now, being a member on this, I wish they had a choir too, but no, this.
That's a good idea.
that's a good idea. Yeah.
Definitely.
I'm just happy to belong with this church, friendly and warm people.
Yeah.
That's the first thing that struck me when I first joined to this church.
Excellent. Excellent.
That's true. That's true. Very friendly and caring. You know.
All right. Anything else? That's all I got.
I believe that's all we can say, and we love this church.
It was probably when, who was it? It was either Edward, it's probably Edward, and I remember having a hard time, like, understanding why I was there, and then, because I mean, we went every Sunday, but I think at some point I realized